Lady Mary Wortley Montagu, unveiling the Ottoman Empire through her letters. Today, we take you on a fascinating journey into the enchanting lands of the 18th century Ottoman Empire. Our guide is not just the wife of an English diplomat traveling to Istanbul, but a bold observer who dared to challenge Western prejudices and capture Ottoman society through the eyes of a woman, Lady Mary Wortley Montagu. Her remarkable story begins in 1715, when her husband, Edward Wortley Montagu, was appointed British ambassador to the Ottoman Empire. Their travels led them through Belgrade, Nice, Sofia, Plovdiv, and Edirne, before finally arriving in the heart of the empire, Constantinople. But this was no ordinary journey. During her 2 years in Istanbul, Lady Montagu didn't just immerse herself in a new culture. She gave birth to her first child, learned Turkish, and delved deep into the daily lives of Ottoman women. She studied their customs, attended their gatherings, and documented what no male traveler could, an intimate portrait of life behind the veils. One of her most remarkable contributions was introducing the smallpox inoculation technique she observed in Turkey to England, a practice that would forever change the course of medical history. Her work, The Turkish Embassy Letters, is far more than the memoirs of a diplomat's wife. It's a groundbreaking social history of the Ottoman Empire. Lady Montagu's vivid accounts of Hammam culture, the refined lifestyles of Ottoman women, family life, and the enigmatic harems boldly defy the exoticized and prejudiced perceptions held by her European peers. Through her eloquent pen, she not only countered the superficial and often inaccurate depictions of other Western travelers, but also provided insights into a domestic world only a woman could access. Her observations are uniquely valuable, shedding light on a society through an empathetic and curious lens. Lady Montagu's legacy satisfied Europe's curiosity about the political and social fabric of the Ottoman Empire, while standing as one of the rare works of its time written from a woman's perspective. Her writings challenged not only perceptions of the East, but also prompted Europe to reflect on its own society and values. So, are you ready to embark on an extraordinary journey through history and culture? Let's discover the Ottoman Empire through the elegant and daring words of Lady Mary Wortley Montagu. Lady Mary Wortley Montagu was not just another traveller recounting her journeys. She knew how unique her experiences were, and, in her own words, boldly highlighted what set her observations apart. Speaking of her travels, she declared, "I have completed a journey no Christian has made since the Roman emperors, and I'm sharing with you a country almost entirely unknown in England." With these words, she underscored the singularity of the places she explored. Describing the hammam scenes, she emphasized their exclusivity. "What I am sharing with you are sights you could never witness in your lifetime, and that no male traveler could ever describe, because for a man to step foot here would cost him his life." These words highlight her rare perspective as a woman allowed into spaces completely off limits to men. When writing about the interiors of the Turkish homes and harems, Lady Montagu stated, "This account is entirely different from the ordinary memoirs of a traveller. In Turkey, no Christian can enter the home of an elite man, let alone the harem, unless they are of the highest rank or enjoy extraordinary luck. Ordinary travellers unable to penetrate these spaces can only describe the plain exteriors of the homes, as a harem is hidden from view behind the facade." Through these vivid observations, Montagu demonstrated how her writings transcended the usual accounts of her time, offering an unparalleled perspective. Interestingly, her work is titled Letters, rather than a traditional travelogue, a reflection of its structure. Lady Montagu's letters were real-time accounts written to friends and confidants such as Alexander Pope, Princess de Gaulle, Reverend Conti, Lady Bristol, Lady Mar, Sarah Chiswell, and Anne Thistlethwaite. In her correspondence, we often find references like, "in reply to your letter," or requests for items and updates. These letters were as much about staying connected with her circle as they were about documenting her unique experiences. But to avoid getting overly technical, we will share her accounts not in chronological detail, but thematically, exploring the extraordinary stories and insights hidden within her words. Join us as we delve into the world of Lady Montagu's Turkish Embassy letters, uncovering a narrative that challenges conventions and offers an intimate glimpse into an extraordinary time and place. In 1697, one of the bloodiest chapters of European history unfolded on these very plains, the Battle of Zenta, a clash between the Ottoman forces and the army led by Prince Eugene of Savoy. It ended in a devastating defeat for the Ottomans. As they wander through this battlefield, the remnants of the day remain haunting. Human skulls, animal bones, and camel remains lie scattered across the ground, as if the effort to bury them was deemed too great. It's as if the land itself refuses to let us forget the horrors of war. These lands, so fertile and rich in potential, now stand desolate and abandoned. It's hard to reconcile how such beauty could inspire such ferocity. Imagine thousands of men locked in deadly combat over a few inches of soil. To me, nothing better exemplifies the madness of humanity. These reflections draw my mind to the words of a great philosopher, Thomas Hobbes. "The state of nature is a constant state of war," he said. And indeed, it's hard to argue otherwise. Humanity, as a part of nature, seems to be perpetually caught in cycles of conflict. But I must confess, dwelling too long on such grim subjects may burden the heart. So, instead, let me speak of my travels. In Belgrade, Lady Mary Wortley Montagu found a rare and intriguing companion in Ahmed Bey, an intellectual Turkish gentleman who preferred the quiet life of Belgrade to the bustling capital Istanbul. A man of great education, fluent in Arabic and Persian, Ahmed Bey's greatest pleasure was in sharing deep, intellectual conversations over shared meals and wine. Lady Montagu enjoyed his company so much that she even considered learning Arabic after spending more time with him. Ahmed Bey's greatest passion was his library. The discussions were filled with intellectual rigor, and he even taught one of Lady Montagu's servants to write in the English alphabet, so they could practice writing in Latin letters. Lady Montagu recounts a fascinating conversation they had about religion. Ahmed Bey was eager to discuss the differences between the Anglican and Roman Catholic faiths, and Lady Montagu was happy to share what she knew. Ahmed Bey was pleased to hear that some Christians did not venerate images or the Virgin Mary, remarking that if a preacher were allowed to speak freely in Turkey, many could be converted to Christianity. He also noted that, just like Christianity, Islam was divided into sects, each struggling with internal conflict. Ahmed Bey believed that, in Turkey, there were very few who openly declared themselves as irreligious, and Lady Montagu thought that Paul Ricaut, a former embassy staff member in Turkey, was wrong in his assessment of this issue. Ahmed Bey, though not openly declaring his departure from faith, did partake in drinking alcohol, something he did discreetly, away from public view. Lady Montagu found it intriguing that Ahmed Bey, despite his less traditional approach, respected certain boundaries of behavior. He told her that, had she known Arabic, she would have enjoyed reading the Quran, which to him conveyed a truly noble and honest moral code. Lady Montagu agreed, but added a striking observation. Our translations of the Quran, which come from Greek priests, have deliberately distorted its original meaning. There are no more disruptive and ignorant people in the world than these. Lady Montagu's thoughts then turned to the Albanians, whom she found to have a quite religious stance. She admired their bravery and military prowess, but noted that, being caught between Christianity and Islam, they were unsure which to follow. They attended both the mosque on Fridays and the church on Sundays, believing that, on Judgment Day, the true prophet could intercede on their behalf. Among the many remarkable experiences Lady Mary Wortley Montagu encountered during her travels, none stood out more than her visit to the renowned Turkish baths. These baths were famous for their soothing and rejuvenating rituals, and Lady Montagu, ever the curious observer, was eager to experience them for herself. Entering the women's section of the bath, Lady Montagu was struck by the stark contrast in both attire and atmosphere. Despite her own European dress being vastly different from the local women's attire, she was met with no ridicule or gossip. Instead, she admired the dignity and composure of the women around her, comparing them favorably to the gossip-driven women of Europe. Lady Montagu painted a fascinating scene. They were undressed of their clothes, revealing themselves in all their beauty and imperfections. But despite their nudity, there was not a hint of shame or indecency. These women carried themselves with extraordinary poise. Nearly all of them had skin so fair it seemed to glow, and their braided hair, adorned with pearls and ribbons, cascaded down their shoulders. They resembled beauty goddesses. Some women were chatting, others were lost in thought. Some sipped coffee or sherbet, while others relaxed on cushions. The bathhouse was a sort of cafe for Turkish women, where all the gossip of the city was exchanged. The women spent hours in this social space enjoying the heat and cold cycles of the bath, and yet, as Lady Montagu observed, they never seemed to catch a cold. For these women, the bath was both a place of relaxation and social gathering. Among them, a particularly distinguished woman invited Lady Montagu to sit beside her, even offering to assist with her undressing. At first hesitant, Lady Montagu finally agreed, and when the women saw her corset, they refrained from pressing further, assuming that her husband had imprisoned her in such a garment. Lady Montagu was deeply impressed by their sensitivity and refinement. Though she would have liked to stay longer, her journey required her to leave the next day. She remarked, "What I am describing to you is a sight you will never see in your lifetime, and that no other traveler would ever dare to write about, for any man who dared to enter here would lose his life." Lady Montagu's account of the bathhouse is not just a simple travel story. It's a glimpse into a world that few could ever witness, offering insights into a culture and society far beyond the reach of most Westerners.